Welcome to Team SNG Test Hands video. Now this is the Test Hands video for the updated Ancient Warriors deck profile. To find the profile, look in the description down below, links should be there. Also, while I've got your attention, make sure you check out the team's Facebook page, leave us a like over there, link will be down in the description too. And make sure you leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel while you're here on YouTube. Now, since Ancient Warriors is both a going first and going second deck, typically a going second deck, but with the capabilities of going first, watch the profile. That'll explain that. What we're going to do is we're going to do 2 test hands going second, where we will draw 6 cards, and we're going to do 2 test hands going first, where we will draw 5. So I will be doing some siding between the two, because typically the deck does want to go second, so we're going to do the going second first, and then I will show you what I side out and side in to basically allow the deck to go first. I do realize that probably looked a lot less impressive than usual. Usually I have colorful sleeves. Today I have black ones. Alright, let's draw into our first 5 cards. So we have a Gameciel, a Defensive Changban, a Gameciel, a Tenki, and a Ancient Warriors Masterful Sun Ma-Oh. So this isn't an ideal opening, but we do have our Gameciel, and we do have our Sun Ma-Oh. We can also set up our grave for plays later with the Defensive Changban, and we can search for one of our monsters. So let's assume that our opponent, seeing as our opponent's gone first, oh, right, we're going second. Draw one more card. Hey, that's much better. So a Shangyuan is good because it basically lets us pop off a little further. So seeing as we're going second, we'll say our opponent's got something on the field for us to Gameciel, so we'll just Gameciel that off right nice and quick. Alright, so next thing's next. Let's bait out that pesky Ash, and we'll activate our Tenki. In the case of this, we're going to say that we get through because it's difficult for us to judge what our opponent has. We're going to say they haven't got anything to stop us, but typically you will have some interruptions that you have to play around. Seeing as we are set up to have multiple types on the field, we're actually going to search out our Valiant Zhang Day, because he can then special summon himself to our opponent's side of the field. He can special summon himself because we'll have multiple types on the field at one go. So next what we're going to do is we are going to normal summon our Masterful Sun Ma-Oh. So we'll move this down a bit, and then we can have Gameciel present for you guys. He might not be quite so present. We'll put him there. There we go. He can then activate. So yeah, we'll be able to have Valiant Zhang Day on the field now. We can then go into use Sun Ma-Oh's effect, sending Fire Formation Tenki to the grave. Or we could discard the Kaiju if we wanted. But in this case, we'll say sending Fire Formation Tenki to the grave. And typically what we would search out in the old version is Virtuous Leo Schwang. However, A, we don't have a way to put him on the field this turn. And B, he's not going to help us right now anyway. So what we're actually going to search out is his lieutenant, Ancient Warriors, and Genius Shujie Kong. Now, because Shujie Kong has been searched by an Ancient Warrior card, we can now special summon him. So that gives us 2 bodies on the board. We can then go into our... Because of the fact we control 2 different attributes, we can special summon our Valiant Zhang Dai. We can set our Defensive Chang Ban. And then we can enter our battle phase. During our battle phase, we can... Valiant Zhang Dai will gain 300 attack for everything our opponent controls. And the first time that we attack, so we'll say that our Valiant Zhang Dai, who currently has 3,000 attack based on just our opponent having Gamma Seal and nothing else, which is very unlikely, we will be able to special summon when Zhang Dai attacks into Gamma Seal. We will be able to special summon our Zhang Yuan. And that will give us a pretty decent board, because now none of our Ancient Warriors can be destroyed by battle except for Zhang Yuan. You can't target Sun Mo with... you can't target Sun Mo for attacks. Our Valiant Zhang Dai is going to get big and beefy, and every card our opponent puts on the field will make him even bigger. But that's only during our turn. And then if our opponent does dare and declare an attack, if we haven't beaten them here, we can activate Defensive Changban and send that to the grave on our opponent's turn to protect our cards for 1 more turn, letting us play a little further. Also, we can trigger Shujie Kong's effect if our opponent activates a spell or trap on their turn, and that will then also trigger Monsterful Sun Mo to spin something from their field back to our hand. With all that being said, we could potentially use Sun Mo to target our Gamma Seal and return that to our hand. But seeing as we do have an extra Gamma Seal, chances are we're going to let them keep that one. There's no point in us spinning one back to hand just to have a second one in hand. Alright, and so that was a fairly successful opening. And frankly, even if we'd gone with 5 cards, we'd still have been able to get to this board here with 5 cards. Actually, we'd have the Gamma Seal still in hand as well. So we'd have gotten to this board here with the original 5 cards that we drew. So this is what I mean by the deck can go first or second. I typically like it going second, obviously, but hey, what can we do? Alright, let's go on to the going second hand, and then we will side in for going first. Alright, going second, number 2. Lower Guanyang, Gamma Seal, Twin Twisters, Raigeki, Pot of Desires, Virtuous Leader Shuang. So, not terrible, not great. We haven't seen one of our main key starters in 3 visits again, and we're also in a boat where we haven't seen any of our searchers. So, we're going to need that Pot of Desires. That's going to be quite a valuable card for us. So I think our first play will be... Yeah, our first play is going to be our Pot of Desires. And we're gonna banish off 10 cards from the top of the deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see what we've banished off. We've banished off of 3 visits, of course. Tenzu, Zhang Yang, Tenki, one of our 2 Shujie Kongs, Zhang Dai, Shugong, Pot of Desires, Shugong, and Gamma Seal. So that's not so bad. We haven't banished off any of our Sun Mo's, and we haven't banished off both of our Shujie Kongs, so as long as we don't draw Shujie Kong in the next 2 cards, we should be in about okay shape. Alright, that's a bit frustrating, but we can work with it. We can definitely potentially work with this. So first things first, we've gone second, we'll Gamma Seal something off of our opponent's side of the field. Actually, no, we won't. We're going to hold on to Gamma Seal. What we're going to do is we're going to drop the Guanyang, special summon him because our opponent controls monsters and we don't. We're going to activate our Borrowing of the Arrows, target a monster on our opponent's side of the field, target Guanyang, making Guanyang bigger. We'll say 1,000. I don't really know how we're going to do that, so we'll say 1,000. Next things next, we can normal summon our Virtuous Liu Xuan, because that might give us a draw into something going for main phase 2. Then we can activate Raigeki to blow up our opponent's field. And we can activate Twin Twisters to blow up our opponent's back row, discarding the Gamma Seal because we don't actually need it this turn. Then we can enter our battle phase, and we can have Liu Xuan. We can have Guanyang attack first, triggering Liu Xuan's effect to let us draw a card. Another Borrowing of the Arrows. And we can then have Liu Xuan attack. And so we've ended up in the situation where Liu Xuan is protected by battle, and Liu Xuan is protected by battle, and he's also protected by targeted card effects. So this wasn't a totally ideal opening. We saw no water monsters, we saw no fire monsters. We only saw Ancient Warriors, Liu Xuan. We only saw our three of our wind monsters, which is a bit unfortunate. You kind of do want to see multiple attributes. But we did see our Borrowing of the Arrows, and if we'd seen a secondary attribute, we could have potentially used one of the other effects to send this off, letting us see our 3 visits or our Changban. So this was an unfortunate opening. It does happen from time to time, which, it's just the way that the cards fall. Alright, so now we're going to go into going first, which means that we need to make some side deck. We need to side out a few cards to side in a few cards. So the cards that we are going to be siding in will be 3 copies of Ash Blossom, because it's a valuable card going first, but often going second you don't really need it. I mean, you could stop your opponent potentially from making a board, but this deck does break boards relatively well. We also are going to side in 2 Changban, and we're going to side in 2 Crackdown. And the way that we're going to do this is that we are going to side out three Gamma Seal for 3 Ash. We're going to side out 2 Twin Twisters, 1 Raigeki, and 1 Loyal Guanyang. So we're going to side out all of these for these, and that will let us have the ability to go first rather than second. We're going to go with going first, so 5 cards. Tenki, Zhang Yuan, Borrowing of the Arrows, Pot of Desires, and Sun Liu Alliance. So we do have Tenki, and we can search out, and so we should be able to get a few cards on the field, which is good. We have Pot of Desires, so we can draw into some stuff potentially. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the Desires, because A, that will bait out the Ash Blossom, because the Tenki search is extremely important. And B, it will potentially give us extra cards. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for the extra cards. That's 10. What have we banished off? Nothing too bad, actually. We've done okay there. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw the top 2. 1 Shukong and a Ash Blossom. So now we're in okay shape here. Now what we're going to do is we are going to activate our Fire Formation Tenki, and we're going to search out our Summao. Then we're going to actually normal summon our Summao. We're going to activate Summao's effect, and we are going to send Fire Formation Tenki to the grave to search for our Sujay Kong. Because Sujay Kong was added by an Ancient Warrior monster, he will special summon himself to the field, meaning that we do have 2 Ancient Warrior monsters on the field of different attributes, which is actually really important. Those are managed face down, sorry. Now what we can do is we can activate our Burning of the Arrows, or Borrowing of Arrows, sorry, and we can activate Sunliu Alliance. Now on our opponent's turn, we have a Negate of the Search, and when our opponent declares battle, we have our in-archetype Honest, effectively, to special summon himself and decrease their attack, and also to... and to protect them from battle, and all of our Ancient Warrior monsters will gain 300 attack for each Ancient Warrior monster on the field. Now typically that's actually going to only be 600, because... So they'll each gain typically 600, because likely you're going to activate this effect when your opponent has special summoned a monster, which will boost them up, because you can't activate this during the damage step. So unfortunately, the triggering of Fearsome Shang Yuan's effect won't actually trigger Sunliu Alliance. So unless you can wait until later in the turn, where you can use Ingenious Sujay Kong after the battle phase maybe, then Sunliu Alliance is only going to boost him by 600. So it's not a terrible opening. As I say, you have kind of built yourself a nice little board here. He can't be targeted for attacks, so your opponent's going to have to attack into the Sujay Kong, which is 2000 defense, and then you're also going to special summon Shang Yuan, decreasing probably the biggest monster on your opponent's side of the field by 1000 points, meaning that Sujay Kong is now going to likely be quite safe unless your opponent summons something with over 3000 attack. So, that's going first, guys. And as you can see, Ancient Warriors can definitely do it, and then on our opponent's turn, we can, on our next turn, we would use Shu Gong, send this off, to search out 3 visits, most likely, and that would let us pop off. And then this would also activate a Speller Trap from the deck when that happened. So we would be in really good shape, and we would be able to actually properly pop off. The other thing is, because Sujay Kong's Negate effect does require us to send a card from the field, we could actually potentially send Borrowing of the Arrows on our opponent's turn and activate from the deck Defensive Changban, meaning that on our opponent's turn as well, when they go to enter battle phase, we can send Changban to the grave to protect the field from battle, keeping the Zhang Yuan to help us push for game on our next turn. So either way, the ability for this deck to go first is now hopefully a little more proven to you guys due to the fact that I have just shown you it can build a board with lots of protection. So unfortunately, due to a videoing error, there is a lost test hand out there somewhere. I have not managed to actually record the second going first test hand, so I'm very sorry about that. If you guys are interested in the future, I can definitely do another video with some more going first test hands using this deck. And make sure you leave us a like, comment, and subscribe while you're here. Head over to the Facebook page and leave us a like over there. And with all that being said, I will see you guys at the next profile.